This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit, Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey, this is Dean Allmark, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Dean Allmark.
How you doing, brother? You okay?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Can you tell us what you got coming up next, event-wise?
Okay, so here in the UK, the summer season is really busy because all the kids are off school. So there's pretty much shows every single day. So there's a lot coming up. I wrestled quite a bit this week. And yeah, I'm just here, there, and everywhere, to be honest.
Gotcha. And where can we find you on social media and merchandise?
Okay, you can find me on every platform, really, at Dean Allmark.
Perfect. And merchandise?
Merchandise is Wrestle Merch Central. I think I got that right. Yeah, I think it's that one.
All right. And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. Alright, let's get into it. You have been a pro wrestler for 25 years this year. What does that landmark kind of mean to you?
To be honest, it's all I've done in my adult life. I started training in 99 when I was 15, had my first match at 16, and then pretty much for 20 years, that's all I did. I traveled the world, I did it full time, and up until COVID came along, I was pretty much living the dream.
Well, you could correct me if I'm wrong here, but earlier this year, you actually retired from pro wrestling.
I did announce maybe 2 years ago that I was going to retire on my. I was actually planning on the retirement being on my anniversary date, which was January 25th, I think. And I just thought, do you know what? It's 2025. It's the 25th of January. It's 25 years in wrestling. I was just like, that's kind of cool to end on. But then around about 2 years ago, I picked up a back injury, which has kind of hampered my career. So with this back injury and not being able to wrestle so much, it just spurred me on. And I was just like, no, I can't go out like this. I've got loads more left in the tank. And yeah, we're going on now. We're going on for another 25 years, I think, at least.
Okay, so 2050.
Yeah, I guess so, if I can live that long.
Alright. Well, or rather than, your own wrestling career, you have taken up your own wrestling school, Claw. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so this is the second school that I've owned. I owned the All-Star Wrestling School, which I opened in 2006. And I had some students that did very well out of that school. Toni Storm is obviously a notable name. She's probably the the top student I've ever produced. Zaya Brookside is another one. Mason Ryan came out of that school. And had some really good students. And then obviously COVID came along. I closed the All-Star School, got rid of the ring. And then I started teaching at a school in Liverpool for about, I'd say, probably 6 months to a year. I was just a coach there, and then there was an opportunity to go into business with my friend Jay Apter, who owns TNT Wrestling in Liverpool. He owned the school with another guy, and the other guy pulled out, and there was just a spot there, and I jumped in.
And now your students, is there anybody we should be looking out for?
Yeah, I've got so many good students coming out of that school. Honestly, it's a real hotbed for talent. It really is, and I'm very lucky to have such a bunch of talented students. Notable ones that come to my brain straight away are Tyler Adams, who is an original student of mine from the All-Star School. He's been training under me for like 10 years. He's a really good hand in the ring. Callum Crowe is another one, up and coming wrestler. He just made his debut not so long ago. Lucian is another guy. He's not yet had a singles match, but that's going to happen very soon, I'm sure. We got Deca, which is a female student. We got Saxa, who is really promising, and she's getting out there. She's pretty much wrestling every single weekend at the minute, and she's getting the reps in. So I've got high hopes for her. God, there's so many good students at that school, honestly. I can see everybody doing really well from that school, to be honest.
Now, like we said, 25 years in the business. When you got trained, different time in, pro wrestling. How did you adjust training wrestlers nowadays to how you were trained, back then?
I think it's just a different era in the world, like altogether. Like obviously when I started training in '99, there wasn't really any internet. There was no phones. There was no distractions. All you had were your VHS tapes, and you just spend all your time studying, or I did anyway, wrestling from all over the world. And I feel like this day and age, with the internet and social media and phones and all that sort of thing, there's a lot of distractions, but also like you've got all wrestling and pretty much every single match that's ever happened at your fingertips. So to an extent, it's really easy to find footage and to study. But on the same note, there's so many distractions that I feel like everybody's attention span has diminished. And that's probably harmful to like the learning development of students. But yeah, I just think the business has changed, the jobs change, and the wrestling school that I trained at, I trained there 8 hours a week. There was no ring there. It was just mats. It was very much grapple heavy, with almost like a catch wrestling base. Whereas now, like at my wrestling school, I've got a matted area. There's a ring there. It's luxury compared to where I trained in.
Okay. And, you mentioned her, Tony Storm, most notable, trainee to come out of your school. Obviously she's one of the biggest women's wrestlers right now currently. What does that kind of mean to you to see, your student, reach the pinnacle, so to speak?
I think with Tony, I knew almost instantly, because she was just such a sponge, honestly. Like she was so motivated to learn and to get good, and I could just see it from almost the very beginning. Maybe not like the number one women's wrestler in the world, if I'm honest, but that's what she's become, in my opinion, and I'm really proud of her. And to have her take my finishing wrestling move and ask if she could use that when she was in NXT, and to start using that and then for that move to end up on a video game is insane. So it means the world. It really does. And she's gone further than I'll ever get in wrestling, and I'm happy to live vicariously through her and her success.
And the other one, Zaya Brooks, is it kind of like a crazy moment to train Zaya when, you wrestled Robbie as much as you did?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say, like, for me, like, obviously, her dad got signed by the WWE as a coach, and he went overseas, so he wasn't able to give her the training, and that training would have been amazing, by the way. That she would have been probably even better than she is now if she would have received that training. But I was happy to take Zaya on and train her before she had her first match, and I was the best man at Zaya's wedding. And yeah, she's just done so good for herself. I'm so proud of her and Tony and all the students that have come out of the school. It's really good to see, and yeah, it was an honor and it was a pleasure to train Zaya.
And where can we find Claw Wrestling on social media?
Yeah, you can just type in Claw Wrestling. There should only be one Claw Wrestling on there. So yeah, if you hit up my socials, you'll see links to Claw Wrestling on there as well. It's a really great place to train. We do Monday to Thursday, 6:30 till 8:30 at night, and I teach there on a Monday. Tuesday is taken by a lady wrestler called Lucy Sky, who is absolutely smashing it at the minute. I train there on a Wednesday night, and then Thursday is taken by a very talented wrestler called Son of Durson.
Alright. And you can find the links to the school in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox as well. Kind of going back to your wrestling career, you had the distinct honor of wrestling one of the biggest legends in pro wrestling, and that is one Jushin Thunder Liger. What was that experience like?
For me, it meant the world to me, because at that stage of my career, I'd been wrestling for 13 years, and growing up, I was always a fan of Japanese wrestling, and Liger especially. I was a big fan of Michinoku Pro, and I was a big fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and with me being a smaller wrestler, I was a big fan of the junior style of wrestling and all the juniors that wrestled there, and Liger was always the top one. He also had like big history as well, because he wrestled for All Star in the UK in the 80s and kind of learned his craft there. So for me, when that match was announced, it was like a pretty big deal, and at that point I actually thought that was the closest I would ever get to going to Japan. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the experience. Really enjoyed meeting Liger and having that match. It meant the world to me at the time.
How did that match kind of come about? When did you find out that you were going to wrestle Liger?
So that was for a company called Preston City Wrestling, who were probably the biggest promotion in the UK at the time. They used to put on super shows, and the night before that I'd wrestled Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen. So it was just any wrestlers that were hot on the indies or any legends, they were wrestling at PCW. So yeah, it got announced probably a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months before that match, and I was just so hyped for it, so hyped. And yeah, it was just a really surreal moment in my wrestling career.
So it was they announced it a couple months prior.
I think so. I think it was a couple of months, maybe a couple of weeks.
Does that kind of add to the nerve, so to speak, to have such a big match be posted so far in advance rather than maybe a week or a couple days before the match?
Yeah, I think so, but I think with wrestling promotions, because they run shows in the meantime, they don't like to promote like future shows. They like to focus on like the upcoming shows, so they like to get those out of the way, and then they can announce like matches for the next show. And yeah, I was just, when that match got announced, I was on the road. I think I was wrestling that day, as I was most days, and I was just like, yeah, that's going to be so cool.
Now, on the opposite end of that, you've actually teamed with a Japanese legend. You got to team up with Tiger Mask in a six-man with Ryogoku Taguchi as well.
Yeah, I did, and that was a fun one as well. And also in that match, like obviously, it was so cool tagging with Tiger Mask. Tiger Mask obviously was New Japan when I was growing up, and obviously a lot of people will know about the history of like the original Tiger Mask being in All Star and doing those shows on World of Sport. And for me, like Rollerball Rocco was a friend of mine, and he was Black Tiger Mask in Japan. So it when matches like that get announced, it just means so much more than just the name. There's just the history behind the character and the history behind the wrestler. So yeah, tagging with those two against Chris Brooks, Ridgeway, and Gresham was tremendous. And the start of that match, for the first 5 minutes, I got to like free wrestle with Jonathan Gresham, which was like a first time thing for me. And obviously he's a great technical wrestler, and it was good to test my skill against somebody else who loves like the traditional style of wrestling.
Well, I think that's a great segue, because you wrestled Jonathan for the Ring of Honor title. Obviously one of the more prestigious titles in, pro wrestling. So what did that kind of mean to you to, compete for that title?
Yeah, it was. I think that's the second time I've competed for that title. I wrestled Doug Williams. I think he was Ring of Honor champion at the time as well. I could be wrong, but yeah, it's always nice. I definitely wrestled Doug for the X Division Championship one time as well, like outside of TNA. And just when you wrestle somebody outside of their company for the company's title, just means so much. And obviously wrestling Gresham was a really enjoyable experience for me, because that's my style of wrestling. That's what I enjoy, and it's nice in that type of match just to go out there and just enjoy yourself. You don't have to remember like a million spots or anything like that. You can pretty much do the match on the fly and just be present and just enjoy the experience.
I mean, and what does the, you mentioned the X Division title as well. It's I would say it's a big thing when, a wrestler defends their company's title against somebody outside of the company. So what does that mean to you to kind of be trusted to be the guy, that they defend the championship against?
Yeah, it means everything, because it just means that you've got not only the respect of the company that have honoured that, but you've got the respect of the wrestler that's defending the title as well. And the TNA X Division Championship like goes back, like I was obviously in the TNA X Cup in 2004, before there was like an X Division. So again, it's just the history of that kind of thing, and just being there at the beginning of the X Division, like when it was just starting it in TNA, it's the history again, and it just means so much more than just another match.
Right, you were in TNA for the TNA X Cup. representing England. What was that experience like being in TNA at the time, Universal Studios?
Yeah, it was good. It was actually in Nashville at the time. It
Okay.
was when they used to run shows at the flea market there. And yeah, just once again, like just turning up and being on the same show as they did like a bunch of tapings like over a couple of weeks, and you just get there, you'd have all like the hot indie talent like P.T. Williams, Kid Cash, AJ Styles. You'd have all them guys. Then you'd have all the old ECW wrestlers there like Sabu and Raven, and all the old WCW wrestlers as well. So it was wrestlers that I grew up watching, which was a really good experience for me. And yeah, it was just again, like 4 years in the business, it was just a really good experience to be flown there and to represent the UK against Team Mexico. It was a fun time.
What are some of the differences you notice wrestling in America compared to the UK?
I'd say big differences. So that was my first taste of like being on a television show. Most shows pretty much every show that I wrestled on at that point was just like a house show. All Star are pretty much like a circus. They don't record the shows. They just go from town to town every day, wrestling at a venue, and then you move on to the next one. There's no footage, there's no photos. And for me, that was my first experience of actually being on like a television wrestling show. Like yeah, it was like a massive eye opener in so many ways. And yeah, that experience was probably the most profound experience of my wrestling career, if I'm honest. It was just, I learned so much, and there's some good, some bad, and I took it all as lessons. And yeah, it just helped me so much in my wrestling career.
I'm assuming Jeff Jarrett was there. Did you have any interactions with him?
Yeah, Jeff was there. He was pretty much running the show with Dixie Carter at the time, and I met them both. They were really nice, and I met Jeff again when he came over for PCW years later. And yeah, it was just, he seemed like a really nice guy. He was happy to have us there. We were happy to be there. And yeah, it was good to see TNA at that time.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, what was you eating in America?
Well, I made the most of my time there because we were given like a food allowance every day. So like there was loads of places there like IHOP and places like that. I can't remember the rest of the places there, but like the food was so good. It tastes so much better than it does in the UK. Like I don't know what they put in that stuff, but everything's so much bigger. Like you have like the big gulps and stuff like that, and I was just like, wow, like I could easily put on 5 stone within 5 weeks of living here for sure.
Well, going from the UK to America, to a debut in Japan, you have the distinct honor of wrestling in the Ryogoku Sumo Hall, one of the most prestigious arenas when it comes to pro wrestling. What was that experience like?
For me, like it branches off from the match with Liger. I had the match with Liger and I got the victory in that match, and then there was an agent from Wrestle One that wanted to come over to check out one of the All-Star shows, and at the time I was the current All-Star champion, and he obviously liked what he saw, and then through connections he got in touch with Liger, and he basically asked how I was in the ring, and Liger said some really nice things, and I was on my way to Japan. I was just like, my mind was blown. I was just so excited. I trained really hard for that debut, and I actually went there with 2 championships. I was a double champion at the time, and yeah, it was just everything that I'd worked for at that point. I'd been wrestling for 14 years full time, and I'd done thousands of matches, and I'd never felt more ready. I really didn't. It was just perfect time in my career, and going there and having that match just meant everything to me at the time. It really did, and I really enjoyed Japan, and it was nice to go back there a further 2 times after that as well. It's definitely my favorite place on earth.
Is that a moment you kind of take in the moment, or is it something that kind of sets in afterwards, like, wow, I did this?
I feel like I was so in the zone leading up to my match there, like I was locked in, that I remember finishing the match having that sense of relief, because like I felt like I did really well, and everybody seemed really impressed by me, and people like Muta and who owned Wrestle One at the time, and my agent Jimmy Suzuki, they were saying really nice things, and everybody was really pleased with my performance. I feel like when it didn't really set in until I remember the next day I found a McDonald's and I got like 3 McDonald's meals, took them to my room and watched some UFC, and I feel at that point that it finally set in that I'd just wrestled in Japan for the first time, and yeah, it was just the best feeling in the world. I can't explain it. I just felt so happy, just sat there, just eating McDonald's, watching UFC, thinking, wow, I've just done it. That was amazing.
Other than McDonald's, what was you eating in Japan?
Well, I got dropped off in a little place called Kawasaki, and I was really intimidated by all the little Japanese restaurants. Obviously not speaking an ounce of Japanese, so I found a 7-Eleven, and I was basically just living off like cold sushi from the fridge. I did that for a couple of days, maybe even a week, and yeah, that's all I lived off pretty much.
Well, I mean, it's an opportunity next time you go to try some ramen.
Yeah, like that. Well, the next 2 times I went, obviously I put on a really good performance, and the next 2 times I went there, I was really looked after, like really well. That there wasn't a night where I was just left to my own devices. I was given a driver, I was given appearances, and I was invited to restaurants, and yeah, the next 2 times I just ate like a king.
All right, well, there you go. The
Yeah.
full Japanese experience.
Yeah, definitely. And like obviously I got invited to the Ribera Steakhouse. I got the jacket and tried the steak there, which was delicious. And yeah, it was like I say, it's just the best place in the world for me.
Now, all these fantastic, once in a lifetime experiences that you've had, Japan, America, Liger, etc. Can you tell us that time you wrestled for a pharmaceutical company?
That's a deep dive. Yeah, that's a real deep dive, that one. So yeah, I wrestled in Euro Disney in France, and I wrestled there, and basically we were sent in to promote this new drug that they were trying to sell, and the way it worked is we got the ring taken across on boat, we set the ring up, and they wanted somebody to act like Pain. So we had like a character, all this costume was designed, it was Major Pain. Then you had this wonder drug that they were trying to promote, which was a superhero costume. James Mason, my mentor, was put in that suit. And then there was about 800 people in the crowd, and I just went in a suit, and I was basically a plant in the crowd. So at the beginning, Major Pain walks in, The ring announcer says if there's anybody here that thinks they can challenge Major Payne, let themselves be known. And then I stood up, put my hand up, went to the ring, and yeah, just got the absolute. Can I swear?
Yeah, say whatever the fuck you
yeah,
want.
I got the shit beat out of me for like 45 seconds. The only problem was they put this like vest on me, which like had no sides, and it had like a bullet, like a target on the chest. And as Major Payne picked me up and gave me a power bomb, it went over my face, so I couldn't see where I was going, and it knocked me unconscious, like legit.
Ooh.
So I staggered my way backstage, and I was there for 3 or 4 days, and I don't remember a thing from that trip. Like literally, like I hit my head so fucking hard that, yeah, I don't remember much of that week or that weekend, wherever it was at all.
That's crazy. And to think it all took place at Euro Disney.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I've been to Euro Disney, but I don't remember very much about it at all.
I mean, you might be one of the only wrestlers to compete at Disney, so...
Yeah, which is insane to think. But, yeah, it was just in a little function room there, and it was, again, like, these random experiences come up, and it seems like these opportunities and experiences only happen in pro wrestling, but, yeah, my career's been filled with them.
I'm hoping that you were at least paid well, no?
Oh yeah, I was paid really well for that one. Yeah, like for 45 seconds. Yeah, it was really well paid. The only problem was I got KO'd, which yeah wasn't nice.
Now, another interesting thing you've done in your career is you teamed with you wrestled Jake the Snake Roberts. Obviously a massive legend. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that experience was great. I think I was on 2 tours with Jake, and he'd always be in singles matches as the baby face, and he'd always be there with his snakes. And yeah, seeing snakes was mad because I'd never seen a snake in real life before, and I was just, wow, that's a snake. That's like a legit snake. And I saw some wild stuff. I saw some really wild stuff with that snake. And yeah, there was just one day I turned up at a show, and I was booked in a tag match, and Jake was a heel. It was him and Phil Powers against me and a wrestler called Flatliner. And it was a best of 3 falls. So I think what the boss wanted was like 1 fall each and then like a no contest. And Jake, being Jake, just changed the finish on the fly and called like an audible and maybe like give him like a sunset flip as he was going for a DDT on Flatliner, and he didn't kick out. He just took the pin.
Wow.
So I pinned Jake, and yeah, that was just like a massive thing for me at the time because I think I'd only been wrestling for like 2 or 3 years, and to pin Jake the Snake, which was one of my childhood heroes, and do it on the fly, it was just, yeah, it was just amazing. It was again a really surreal experience.
I mean, yeah, and it wasn't like it was Jake believing in you, so to speak.
Yeah, I always felt like I got on really well with Jake, and when we'd have conversations, he was just really nice and respectful, and yeah, he actually wanted to come to my wedding. And I was just like, no, I don't think I can have Jake the Snake at my wedding, to be honest. Especially at that stage of his life, I don't think it would have been great. So yeah, I didn't say no, but I never said yes. And yeah, it was just, again, I think Jake was just feeling it. He felt like the match needed it or the crowd needed it, and yeah, it was just a huge feather in my cap.
You mentioned some wild stories with the snake.
Yeah, so the first day I met Jake, he was in a changing room, and I was just doing the rounds. I just got to the show, and he was actually in the changing room with a British wrestler called Chick Cullen, and they were talking, And Jake just let the snake out of the bag, so it was just slithering around the dressing room, and I was just like, wow, like that's 20 foot at least. Like, it's wild that there's just a snake in the dressing room. And Chick didn't really like snakes, so he didn't stay for very long as soon as the snake got brought out. So I kind of stayed as Chick went away, and I was just introducing myself to Jake and telling him what a fucking legend he is. And he said, okay, like, I'm gonna have to put this snake back in the bag while you're here, because I can't do it alone. And he grabbed the snake by the neck, but as he did that, the snake wrapped itself around his leg. And he was like, brother, you're going to have to help me here, because if you weren't here, I wouldn't be able to get this snake off, because it's got my leg. I've got its neck, but it's got my leg. So he showed me how to uncoil the snake. He said, like, if you uncoil it, it's got no power. So you just literally have to just uncoil it reel by reel. And I was just like, wow, that's insane. So, yeah, that was my first meeting of Jake. And, yeah. He's a wild guy. Well, he was a wild guy. A really wild man.
Wow. That's definitely an experience with Jake the Snake.
Yeah, especially being like 16, 17 years old. It was just mind-blowing.
Another name I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him is a one Tracy Smothers. What was it like being in the ring with Tracy?
Being in the ring with Tracy was like being in there with a fucking whirlwind. He was just like, he was just so hungry to wrestle, and he was so good. And yeah, he just like, he'd give you a bump, and then before you'd even hit the canvas, he was dragging you up to do something else. And I was just like, wow, like, slow down, Tracy. But he was such a good dude. He was, yeah, again, a wild guy. But yeah, he was great. He'd be beating you up, and he'd be like, you work with me, kid, you work with 1,000, you know? They're just saying stuff like that as you're trying to work away, and it's just like, wow, this is mad. But again, Tracy is somebody that I grew up watching, and I knew all his stuff, and I kind of knew what was coming. He'd do like the jaw jacker and stuff, and yeah, it was just really, it was an honor being in there with somebody so seasoned.
Well, everybody knows we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Doug? THUG.
No, go ahead. Enlighten me.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a Doug can't spell.
That sounds like Tracy.
Yes, we love the late great Tracy Smothers. We ask all our guests that question, trying to keep the memory alive.
Yeah, he probably told me that, but like, he told me 1,000 things that my old memory is failing to remember at this point.
Well, you definitely have some wild stories, but can you tell us, I think it's once again time for that segment, Dean's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
I've got a bunch. I don't know if I can tell them. God, I've seen so much. But nothing is springing to my mind so far. It feels like every time that I've done a wrestling show, or like every wrestling show that I've ever done, which is thousands, something bizarre has happened. So it's just literally, it's just like, open the dictionary and pick a word. You know what I mean? Everything that has happened in like pro wrestling has pretty much happened to me. Like, nothing surprises me. I'm pretty much unshockable at this point, like some of the stuff that I've seen. So yeah, I'd probably get into a lot of trouble if I did tell stories. But trust me, I've got hundreds.
Well, you said you've been shocked a million times. What was the first time you were shocked?
The first time I was shocked in wrestling. Oh God, first shock. First shock, I guess, was like the first match I ever did. I got paid. I was just like, wow, like I'm getting paid to do this. Like this is my dream. Like, wow, like we get paid to do this. That was the most shocking thing. But like, yeah, there's been times like probably for the first 10 years of my career, like things would happen and you'd be like, wow, like that's so bizarre. That's so weird. And then for the next 15 years, like it's water off a duck's back. Like young wrestlers will say like, oh, this has happened. I'm just like, yeah, it's just a regular thing. You know, like it's just like there's nothing at this point that I haven't seen. I've pretty much seen everything. And obviously I've been around a lot of like foreign wrestlers that I grew up watching. I've got to know them as people and I've got to wrestle them, and I'm just like, wow, like these like gods in my eyes are like just regular people just like me. And yeah, I've seen some wild stuff. Trust me, I've seen some wild stuff.
I mean, you don't have to give us names, or you could protect the innocent, but like, give us an example of like a weird or crazy, bizarre thing that's happened.
Like, name a wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, name a wrestler. I could probably tell you a story, but yeah, I don't know. Wrestling's like such a weird world, you know. Like it's like you go from seeing all these wrestlers that you grew up watching, like 16 years old, and like you walk into a place and like the first time I met Marty Jannetty was him getting out of the shower naked. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey Marty, like I'm Dean, nice to meet you. Like, nice cock, you know. It's just like it's literally that's what it's like. It's just like you go from like being a kid watching wrestling, and then you start in the job, and then you just like you're forced into like a situation where you're around like these people that you idolized and you saw as gods, and you never expected to meet these people, and you just like, wow, like you're here in front of me, like stalkers, you know. Like this is wild. And yeah, you get to know them as people, then they go away, and then somebody else comes in, and then yeah, it's similar situations all the time.
Well, I'm sure that this was a bizarre experience. Gangrel lived with you when he was on tour in England, no?
Gabriel?
Gangrel.
Oh, Gangrel. Oh God, yeah, Gangrel. Yeah, God, I've done so many tours with Gangrel. He actually lived in the wrestler's house. He has stayed at my house before. But yeah, Dave's such a lovely human being. He's such a good guy, and his work in the ring is just incredible. Like when you're going in there wrestling Gangrel, like you come out, you know that you've worked hard. You know that you've been in a fight, and yeah, he's a top guy. I was lucky enough to meet Luna as well before she passed away, and she was over here when Dave was, and yeah, it was just a pleasure to meet them both. And obviously Gangrel is somebody that I saw wrestle in Japan. I saw him during the Attitude Era just before I started wrestling, and yeah, just to post pictures where me and Dave would be like tagging together, or posting pictures where me and Dave were wrestling each other, or clips from our matches. All my friends from school were like, "You're wrestling Gangrel," and I was just like, I know, right? You know what I mean? Look at me, new member of the fucking Brood, you know. And it's just like, yeah, it was a good one to pop all my friends in school.
What was it like meeting Luna? Unfortunately, we don't get to hear a lot about Luna nowadays.
Luna was like nothing like she is in the ring. Like she was such a sweet lady. She was such a sweet person, and I didn't really understand it very much at the time, but like she was very spiritual as well, and I understand it now because I am. But like at the time, I was just like, I just found it like just really endearing, and she was just lovely, and obviously an amazing wrestler, amazing worker.
Now, you've actually done some extra work for WWE as well. You worked the conga line for No Way Jose. You were security for Baron Corbin. You were even security for the Queen herself.
Yeah.
What was those experiences like working for WWE?
Yeah, it's weird. Like before I'd ever done any extra work or even been in touch with the WWE, I remember seeing the No Way Jose conga line like the night after Raw, the night after WrestleMania when he debuted on Raw, and I put out a tweet. I was just like, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna be in that fucking conga line. I'm gonna be in that conga line, and then literally like 6 months later, I was in the conga line. I was just like, wow, I should have manifested something much greater than being in that conga line. But yeah, that was my first job there, and we got to dress up in like some silly outfits that they give us like to choose from. I think I picked like a flamingo shirt with like a flower crown with some pink shorts, and I was just like, yeah, look at me on Raw. And yeah, I enjoyed that. Got to do that with a bunch of my friends, which was good. And then the security was a little bit more physical with Braun Strowman being so big and heavy and strong. You know, I made sure that when he touched me, I went down because yeah, he Sparta kicked one of my friends, Jamie Ahmed, and it was my idea to kind of go at him like almost like a pyramid formation. That's the word, a pyramid formation, so he could like pick us off like one by one. And Jamie was at the front, and he just gave him the hardest Sparta kick in the world. I was just like, wow. As soon as I saw that, I was just like, it's a work, brother. As soon as he touched me with a forearm, I was bumping. So yeah, that was fun. And we came out of that segment, and I thought, oh yes, we're done. I'm unscathed. And then we had to go downstairs in the boiler room and get attacked again, which again I made sure that I was bumping straight away. So that was fun. We got to eat a lot of catering, which was lovely. We got paid really well. And then I got to dress up as one of the Queen's guards for, I think it was Carmella. I think it was a kind of like royal crowning or something like that. And she was really nice and really lovely. And yeah, those experiences are really good experiences because like it's something that I'm doing in wrestling, which isn't actually wrestling. It's like a different side of wrestling. It's the TV aspect, and it's dressing up, and yeah, I didn't mind it at all. I was totally happy with that. They were looking for guys to wrestle on 205 Live, and I was just like, no, just dress me up. You know, like like that seems like a better deal for me. You know, like just stick me in one of these silly outfits and I'll be happy. So yeah, those three experiences were really good, and yeah, really enjoyable, and you get treated really well. I get to see some of my friends that I was on the road with who are now there, and yeah, nothing but good experiences whenever I've done extra work for them.
What was you eating and catering?
Oh my god, they have the best food in the world. Oh my god, it was so nice. Like, they give you the option, because obviously it's in England, of like fish and chips. I think that's more for like the people that want to try it. But I was straight onto like the American stuff. I can't remember what it was. That was seemed like a lot of meat, like steak, chicken, and stuff like pasta, all that sort of thing. And yeah, I just loaded up on it because you can just go back as many times as you want. I was just like, fuck yes. this is what I'm here for.
Alright. Now, you could correct me if I'm wrong here, and you could pass if you don't feel comfortable talking about it. But your son actually runs All-Star Wrestling. What does that kind of mean to you to have, you know, your son, you know, kind of sort of low-key follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, it's not even low-key, it's kind of high-key, and it's just like, it's really good to see him going to all the venues that I was going to when I was his age, and running the promotion that I worked for so many years, it's yeah, he's doing really well. He's a referee, and yeah, All Star is just one of these companies that's been going for like over 50 years now, and it's good that it's him that's running it, and he's running things the right way, and yeah, I'm just really proud of him.
Is it a full circle moment that you kind of made your start there, and now your son is running it?
Yeah, it's insane when you think about it, but obviously, like, it's not something that you do think about, because you're still wrestling yourself and you're still doing like the circuit yourself. But when now you mention it, yeah, it is like a full circle moment, and it's good, and I think it's a job that he's gonna have for life, and it's a good life. The wrestling business is a dream to be in. It's hard work at times, it's frustrating at times, but for him as a referee and wrestling promoter, he's just going to see nothing but benefit, and he's gonna live the dream doing that job and running that business. So yeah, he's probably done it the smart way, where he doesn't have to take any bumps.
I was gonna ask, has he shown interest to get in the ring properly?
He did when he was younger. But then I think growing up watching me like hobbling around and see me covered in bruises, see me bleeding at times, it probably just put him off at an early age, and he was just like, nah, I think I'll just be a referee. Again, it's smart, like if you can be in the wrestling business and earn good money by not taking bumps and just doing that side of it, then yeah, that's the dream.
Maybe one tag match with Dad?
Maybe. Maybe in 25 years' time, we can have a tag match together on my retirement match. Who knows?
Right, so he has like the longest time to prepare and train for it, 25 years.
Yeah, like honestly, like you learn so much from being a referee, and there's been times in my early career where there was no referee available, and I'd referee matches, and it's just a really, really good learning experience. And people see it, like, especially when they're beginning to wrestle and they're beginning to train and they get put in as like a ref on shows, they see it as kind of like, oh, like I don't want to referee, I want to wrestle. You learn so much from just refereeing, like so much. So yeah, he could probably just step in there now and just do a match like with a couple of spots and he'd be absolutely fine. But I don't think he's got it in him. I really don't. I think he's happy doing the referee, and it's a shame because he's like 6'4", 6'5", like he's a big boy, and if he wanted to, he probably could be like a big star, but I think he's just happy doing his thing.
Oh yeah, do what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about your tattoos and if they have any significant meaning?
My tattoos, obviously I've got my my kids' names on my forearms. My son Joseph and my daughter's name Lexi. I've got a band on my right arm, which was kind of influenced by a lot of wrestlers growing up. I used to see a lot of wrestlers, like especially like Mexican wrestlers, that used to have like some sort of band on their arm, and I think that's just something that always stuck with me, and I was just like, yeah, one day I'm gonna have a band on my arm. So I've got that one, and then on my left arm I've got kind of like a quarter sleeve, which is some Japanese scenery, which I saw when I was in Japan, which I thought was quite cool. And then I got around about this time last year, I got like a chest piece, which is like a Japanese tiger. And then I've got Kaizen written in Japanese, which basically means 1% better every day. And I've always loved that kind of like philosophy and that saying. So, yeah, I've got that. I think that's about it.
Any plans for new tattoos in the future?
Oh my God, tattoos are so addictive. Like, I think all the time. But tattoos are expensive, you know. And tattoos, like when you get a tattoo, you can't wrestle for like a week or two. And it's just finding that time, you know. I'd love to get my left arm extended and maybe turn it into a sleeve, but I'll wait until I've got some time off until I do that, I think.
Well, when it comes to something new, have you had your eyes on something, or just whatever you're feeling?
I feel like the left side of my body is like heavily like Japanese influenced, and I've got like a really good tattooist who actually he tattoos Tom Aspinall from the UFC. He's the current UFC heavyweight champion. He's obviously British, and he did his back piece for him, and he's currently doing more work on him. And he's really good at kind of like the Japanese style. So I think I would definitely keep to like a Japanese theme if I was going to get a sleeve. But again, it's time and money.
Right.
When I get both, then I'll definitely get it done.
All right. I think it's time for the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
Oh, Jesus Christ, putting me on the spot. I do love music. Jesus. One would have to be my entrance theme that I've had for 25 years. That would have to be in there somewhere. That's Run DMC versus Jason Evans. It's like that. That would have to go in there. Oh God. Yeah, I think the other two would be kind of like depressing rock music. Do you know, kind of like you know the film The Wrestler?
Yeah.
Something along those lines, yeah. Seeing me like wrestling when I'm like 50 or something like that, like Ram Jam. Yeah, something like that, probably along the same lines of that.
Okay. Now that we have the soundtrack down, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays you? And you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
I'd love that, to be fair. I'd love that. God, actor that could play me. Jeez. Yeah, there's been comparisons made, but like I think I get Jake Gyllenhaal sometimes. He'd be quite cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Some girls say Chris Hemsworth, and I'm just like, geez, I wish I was that handsome. He'd be pretty cool. But it probably, like in my younger years, it'd be somebody like Tom Holland or somebody like that. If he could grow some facial hair, I think he could do a good job. I think he's got the blue eyes.
Okay, so get some beard implants for Tom Holland, and we're good to go.
Just draw it on.
Draw it on. CGI it on. Now that we have you casted, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you in your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Oh God! So my mentor James Mason, he would have to be one. You probably get Jason Statham in to play him, because he's like a Cockney like James is, and he'd do it really well. God, other important people. I guess my business partner Jay at the wrestling school. Like, get somebody. Who would you get for Jay? I don't know. He kind of looks a bit like, do you know, he's kind of like hardcore looking. So you get somebody in like Jolly Roll or somebody like that. You know what I mean? Now Jolly Roll is like trimmed down a little bit, and he's in that kind of like wrestling universe now. He'd be quite good with Jay. Another one. Do you know what? You could cast like Tony Storm, and like just get like a pretty blonde girl, and then yeah, I could just chill with her while we're filming the movie and stuff like that. That'd be quite cool. Yeah, I think there's like there's thousands of wrestlers that could be in that movie from my career over the last 25 years. It would be hard to like narrow it down to 3, but yeah. So like one guy that I have to mention, Robbie Dynamite, who we've known each other since we were like 10 years old, and he had his retirement match in 2017, but he was always like my big brother and my kind of like protector, and he's like the toughest guy that I've ever met. He was like a bronze medalist in like the Commonwealth for amateur wrestling, and that movie would have to have him for sure. I'm not sure who would play him though, to be honest. You just get like some short muscular guy, and yeah, he would have to be in the movie for sure.
All right. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you were the one that had his last match, right?
Yeah, I wrestled him. I didn't know it was going to be his last match, but he told me after. He was just like, yeah, I'm done with wrestling now. He had some injuries. The injuries had kind of caught up to him, because every time he'd wrestle, he'd give like 110%, even on the smallest shows. And just when you're wrestling that type of style and you're wrestling like two or three times every single day, it's going to catch up with you. And unfortunately, it caught up with him. And after I'd wrestled him, he was just like, that's my last match, and I'm glad that it was against you, and that's me done. So yeah, he's the best wrestler that never made it, for sure.
Well, this is definitely sounding like a great movie, a blockbuster to say the least. And you could
yeah, for sure.
And you could pre-order the tickets now.
Yeah, just listen to this podcast and you've got the plot right there.
Right. Onto a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
100% yes. I love pineapple on pizza. It's controversial, but yeah, I love that.
Alright. Well, I do have 2 exclusive UK questions as well. The first one being, KFC or Nando's?
Nando's, 1000%. Like, you could probably get 4 times the amount of food from a KFC that you could from one Nando's meal. But Nando's is just undefeated. It's so good.
Alright. And is the greatest person to ever be knighted Sir Patrick Stewart?
No. No, it's not. I'd say David Beckham.
David Beckham, okay.
I think he's been knighted. He's had something where he's been there a couple of times, but David Beckham, national treasure.
Okay, David Beckham. That you're the first person to say David Beckham.
Yeah, it was like I used to play football and I used to model my game on David Beckham. He was such a good player, and I even learned to kick the ball like him, and I used to take all the free kicks in the corners just like he does and make all the long passes. And yeah, for me, it was like my footballing idol. So yeah, David Beckham, 100%.
What's your spirit Pokemon?
Spirit Pokemon, Snorlax.
Nice.
Snorlax for sure. That's me on the daily.
Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
Wrestle a Rock. I think I could get a good 20-minute match out of a Rock for sure.
Okay. Well, just for context, there's a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Really?
Yes.
Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, I need to check that out.
I can send it to you.
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Yes. That's what they're doing down in Canada.
Okay.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years? We know you're wrestling for another 25 years, but what's happening in 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years time. I think that I'm scheduled to have back surgery later this year. So after that's done, I'll be 100% again, and I see myself having the best matches of my career in the next 5 years. Like, definitely. I feel like in a wrestler's career, you have like the first half of the career where physically they're in a good place, but like they haven't got like the wrestling down, like the wrestling psychology, the wrestling experience, the wrestling knowledge. And then slowly over time, the wrestler's body breaks down and they've got all the wrestling experience, they've got the knowledge. And I feel like maybe like in 5 years time, that's going to be the point where they both meet. And I'm going to have like the physical, probably like I'm not totally on my way down physically now, apart from this injury, but I'll have that knowledge as well. And I think when I've got both of them, like I'll be having some really cracking matches.
Perfect. And since we are nearing the what is one of your matches that you would recommend that kind of best shows off you as a pro wrestler?
God, there's been so many times over the last 25 years where like I've gone through different stages. I've always tried to be like a hybrid wrestler. Like when I started wrestling in the UK in like 2000, there wasn't a lot of like hybrid wrestlers around. There was a lot of older British wrestlers doing like the older British style, and I was like one of the first ones to be doing like dives to the floor and like moonsaults and stuff off the top and stuff like that. And I feel like there's been so many stages that I've gone through. It would be hard to like pinpoint a stage where I'd be like, yeah, that's me as a wrestler, because it's just like there's been so many stages. But like if you check out my YouTube channel, like there's over like 500 matches on there from the past 25 years where you can see these stages, you know, you can see the stage that I was at that time and that point. And I'm really proud of my body of work, to be honest. And even my later stuff, like for TNT and Progress, like for those two companies especially, like you can find their matches on YouTube, and I've never had a bad match for those companies. And I'm really proud to wrestle for those companies because they're really prestigious. And yeah, you could check any of them out, and I'm sure if you're a wrestling fan, you'd enjoy something from that match for sure.
Hell yeah. And I actually really love that answer, you know, ever evolving.
Yeah, you try to. That's what you do as a wrestler. You always try and evolve. And I did a wrestling show yesterday where I actually blasted out some wrestling trunks because it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And I've had these trunks in my bag, and I was just like, do you know what? The trunks are coming out. So again, this might be like a new era now where I just start wrestling in trunks instead of... I've gone from like baggy pants to baggy shorts, and I'm always trying to change stuff, trying to improve. And I feel like this might be like the next stage now of my career, blasting out the trunks and having like different style of matches than I have in the past.
Hell yeah. You worked hard for those legs.
I don't know, like, yeah. I'm surprised I can walk at this point, to be fair.
Well, your YouTube page will be in the description of the video below, so everybody can benz all things Dean Allmark. For the people that have seen it, want to see it, want to re-see it after this interview. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is our speed round, or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
I think so.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Say that again, sorry.
Oh, excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Oof, it's a tough one. First one that pops to my head is Dean Malenko.
Worst wrestler.
Worst wrestler, fucking hell. There was a guy that I wrestled called Blake Norton. He was awful.
Alright, we will accept that answer. Your main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Oh God. Because I wrestled him before and we had such good fun together, Daniel Bryan.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Jeez. One that pops in my head, really underrated tune, Dan the Beast Severin.
Okay. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Dead.
We would have also accepted tastes great on toast.
Okay.
Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Match.
I will accept that answer. New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Well, mine were hanging out pretty much all the match yesterday, so yeah, I would have said 2 weeks ago that it's probably too much, but after wrestling in the trunks yesterday, I'm just like, fuck it, let's go.
So, like a good 30-40%?
I'd say 50.
50%? Okay.
I'd say 80 if it's a female wrestler.
Okay. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Never.
And that is the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And once again, where can we find all things you on social media?
Dean Allmark, and if you'd like to check out some kind of like unique techniques, British wrestling, kind of like hybrid techniques, check out my other Instagram page, which is Dean Allmark Wrestling Systems. You can see a lot of footage from a wrestling school there as well, so that's one to check out also.
Perfect. And you don't even have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media and Claw will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. For simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Allmark Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Thread, and Instagram. For information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more, follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
Say that again, sorry?
Yeah, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment.
Got you.
For our special guest, Dean Allmark, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.